Hi, Louise. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Georgia. How are you doing?
Good. Yes, I'm very good, thank you. So, can you tell us a bit about yourself, please?
Okay, well, so I'm Louise. I'm an architect. I work in London. I live in London. There is nothing very special about me. I kind of wanted to change the world a bit from my perspective.
There's nothing special about me. I just
Yeah,
wanted to change the world.
no,
I love
I just
that.
feel like, I always want to better myself, but also like to better things around me. So I think that's what's driving me a bit. But yeah, very little ambition in life.
Yeah. So we first met when you came along to a course that I was giving
Yeah,
about starting your sustainability journey.
yeah,
And I remember you being there and being really, feeling a little bit of frustration about you really wanted to step up and make a difference, but you were feeling like you weren't able to. So tell me more about your journey and about how you decided you wanted to make a difference.
well, I think I was frustrated at the time because basically I was in a non-senior position in my practice, and I felt like because I was this junior person who had like a loud mouth but no power to actually do anything, it was just really frustrating because yeah, my hands were tied in a way. I think basically I've always had this drive to save the planet, I would say, in a way, because I've always liked and loved animals. Like since I'm a young girl, I just love animals and nature in general. I know it sounds really cheesy, but that's actually why I'm so into like, making the environment being like healing essentially. But I think it all really started when I watched this documentary called Blackfish. Yeah, a documentary about like how highly sentient being whales are being enslaved to for like mere entertainment for human, and it simply broke my heart, I have to say. I don't know, I just felt like it was my responsibility as well as to kind of try to protect and safeguard what was there on the planet with us. And essentially from this point I've decided not to be actively taking part in animal cruelty, and then one thing leading to another one, then I just start to kind of inform myself about how to do better in terms of like yeah, environment and what I could improve from my scale, but also like feeling the personal responsibility of having to do something, of stepping in, of speaking up for, well, those who can't, animals. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
really well on. Yeah, I feel it's easy to kind of brush up as being cheesy, but actually it did lead to a lot of changes in my life. Like I
Mm.
started by becoming a vegetarian, for example, and then I moved on to being vegan. Just I've basically tried to reduce my personal carbon footprint just for the sake of having a planet that is working for everyone on it. So yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
where I'm coming from essentially.
That's amazing. So when did that journey start for you? When was that Blackfish
I think
documentary?
Well, I think like Blackfish came out in 2013, something like that. So that
Mm.
also coincided when I graduated as an architect. So I think that's where I started to have a bit of more of a conscience of the world around me, like being engaged in politics as well, and being engaged as an individual in this working life. So
Mm.
yeah, I would say like a few years ago, yeah, 2013 sounds about right actually. I was just fresh from
Yeah.
school and just, ready to take on the world. So
Yeah, that lovely, fresh,
yeah,
bright-eyed, bushy tail
like
coming out of university.
not
And
yet.
so, how did you find this journey? Because I think you're absolutely right that what you say about feeling this call inside you to want to change things and make things better can sometimes be quite jarring when you come into a professional world, and it can feel like you have to leave that soft, sensitive part behind, because
Yeah.
in the professional world we've got to be slick and hard and not show our caring sensitive sides. How did you feel having those sorts of conversations at work?
Bad, to be perfectly honest, because I didn't want to be kind of, singled out as being the complicated one in a way, like the one having conversation in the kitchen that you want to avoid because, she's trying to make you feel guilty or anything, which wasn't even my intention. But I think that's the main issue I had, like just trying to get the conversation going with people because I know I'm right. Like, that's no doubt. Like, we got a planet which is dying essentially, and we got now like 10 years to remedy it, because otherwise it's just gonna go down even worse. But I think like people just don't want to feel guilty, and they don't want to feel responsible for it as well. They just, it's just easier to kind of think you're doing what you're doing and someone else gonna fix it. So I think that's why like conversation on a casual manner were really hard to get. But I don't know, like then, if you try once, twice, and then you get rejected, fair enough. But then you're gonna find someone who's gonna hear it, and then you just start building on a little group of like-minded people, and then that's how things started. And in my office, like if we just take the kitchen talk, like at first it was really rejected. I just kind of got labeled as being the French loud little person there. But at the end of the day, we created a little group in the office, which then took on like, recycling strategy in the office, but then moved on to kind of like seeing how we could improve our portfolio as an architecture practice to actually take on board, sustainable design essentially. So it did start very little, but then consequences got really big. And, I think that's how you start actually. You just pick up the litter of the floor and then you just address bigger issues. So yeah, I think communication was the issue, but at the end of the day, if you convince you're right yourself, then nothing can stop you, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And you do need to have that courage of your convictions to really get in touch. I've found that the the strength of belief has been really important for me to feel like I'm on the right side of history here. This is the right thing to do. And, I will not feel like when I'm old and retired that I did a good thing in my life unless I was an agent of change, unless I was able to bring my beliefs to my work.
No, that's exactly it. It's like I want to be able to face myself in the mirror, or if I got kids, sometimes like, tell them it's not perfect, but I tried. I really tried my best. And I feel like, yeah, I want to be at peace with myself. Maybe selfish, like, just to feel like I'm doing it for my personal benefit. But I'm convinced that, yeah, it's the right thing to do. Yeah.
Okay, and so how did you start then with you say that you had the conversations in the kitchen. How did you then take this message to more senior people in these conversations around your work as an architect?
I just keep banging on about it. No, but really, I think, yeah, just not being discouraged on, just kind of without brushing away people who are just being like, oh, it's not worth it, or I don't want to do it. I think on the contrary, just like take those people and just don't let them get away with it. Like hold them accountable for what they're doing. As I say, like we just started to be like the three of us in an office of 60 people, and we just kind of took the sustainability policy, which was honestly laughable. Like he was just saying nothing, like it was an A4 amount of word with nothing on it, like just saying, we're gonna aim to be better, but without actually having anything measurable to compare against. So we just kind of like took that and basically decided to address point by point what we could change on our level as employee. So it started by like, yeah, just settling the recycling strategy in the office. So like, buying bins, just putting a bin for the paper, a bin for the food scrap, a bin for like plastic and things. But then also like having a little presentation to the office, just saying like, this is what we can do. And if you put your food scrap, that's where it's going. If you put that in the landfill bin, that's where it's going. So just having this kind of very basic explanation of like what's your action and what are the consequences of your action, actually that really helped us to kind of settle in the office. And then more and more people got on board with that. And that's where senior people or like management people could no longer ignore us in a way. So like I think by having this kind of bottom up movement, we really basically creating a momentum, because we were getting big and loud, then they could just no longer brush it off. So at some point the minority that we were became well, I wouldn't say a majority, but still a bigger group, like big enough not to be ignored. So I think, yeah, that's stronger together, let's put it this way.
Absolutely. I fully believe that. I fully believe that if you're going to start making a change, it's really important to find your community of like-minded people, because we are greater than the sum of our parts when we come
Yeah.
together and build a voice. So what advice then would you give to people who feel like you, that they want to make a difference, but maybe haven't started on this journey, they haven't voiced it in their offices? What would you suggest people do?
I would say just don't be cynical, because it does start by doing something small. Like it does start by, yeah, telling your colleague not to put his chewing gum wrapping in the paper bin because that won't get recycled, and just feel like you're right. Like inform yourself, educate yourself, like just basically build up your weapons to kind of like fire back at any argument that you're gonna get, because you're gonna get people just, they're gonna have an answer to everything. You're gonna say like, oh well, this is better. Oh no, but I know better because my cousin has done that or whatever. And just like, well, you're full of faff right now, and I know I'm right. Yeah, I think this conviction of knowing you're right, but also having the knowledge of backing yourself up is really helping you to build some confidence in it. And I think once people realize you got the confidence in your belief, then they're more likely to trust you as well and to follow you, because they know you know your shit, essentially. Pardon my French, but
That's absolutely fine. And I love that you're French saying that.
I love that. I think it's really good for me. But it's just like, I think just, yeah, just don't be cynical, just do it, go for it. And as you say, and I think that's the best thing I got from your seminars actually, is actually to just find people who are thinking the same way. Because even if it's not really good to just stay within your bubble, it's actually really good to kind of build up this confidence and then go out there. Because like everyone is shy and everyone is introvert and everyone is so self-conscious about what their colleagues, especially their colleagues, are gonna think of them. So it takes a lot of like courage to kind of step out, but having the backing of a whole community behind you really helps you to take this step, essentially. So
Amazing. And what would you say has been one of your biggest successes on this journey?
well, I think the fact that, it sounds really bad because it sounds like I need a pat on my back to keep progressing, but like I've basically, after one big presentation where I've just shown them like a documentary linking, well, the One Planet, One Business, the one you suggested, I kind of projected in my office and I just stopped it because it was finished. And basically there was this like long, heavy silence where everyone was like, right, okay, ouch, that's happening actually. And at this point, I remember like seeing the senior director of the office just like looking at me and saying like, oh, yeah, we do need to do something about it. It's like, wow, finally, you just went through your thick school of yours. So it's great. Having this nod from like, someone from another generation, like Clay with more experience in the business than I did, was actually really rewarding. But I I don't know, successes wise, concretely speaking, yeah, I think I know left is practice, but they are having like a sustainable strategy and they are addressing project by project and reviewing them on specific criteria to see how they could improve. So I guess that's my legacy I left behind. And on a personal level, my boyfriend turned out to be a vegetarian as well. So that's, that's a
Wow.
exactly. I don't know. I don't know if that's my 2 little success, but I haven't achieved much.
No, well, I think that's wonderful though. That's such a great example of a ripple effect, of a small action like showing a film.
Yeah.
And that is such a powerful film. I love it. I recommend it to everybody because it shows such beauty of the natural world, and then it gives the facts about what's going on in just the facts. It's not in an emotional demanding way, but it leaves you with this really powerful feeling that something has to change. And that leaving that with people, they then think on it and they take their time with it and they kind of digest it and come to their own conclusions. And I think there's a ripple effect from that. And then, like you say, changes that you've made for yourself, now the people around you are making changes too, without necessarily you demanding it, but just they're noticing that there are different ways of being.
I think that's where actually that's a very good point, because even my parents, so like, my parents are both very French, let's put it this way. They just love meat and butter and everything. The fact, like, when I go home now, they're actually cooking like vegetarian meal and vegan meal for me, and I'm not even asking for it. And it's just like, it's really nice to see that people get it, even if they won't admit that it's because of you. Like, you know, you're the one who kind of gave them a nice push to the right way. So yeah, no, I would say that you're right there, actually. Like, just seeing, yeah, just the result of what you've been working hard for, it's actually really rewarding.
Well, it's amazing. And getting that feeling, I think, of being a force for good, of like being
Exactly.
the start of something positive is so rewarding and so great. Oh, it's so lovely to hear that from you. I'm so pleased. Thank you for sharing your journey.